កម្មវិធីកិច្ចសន្ទនាកម្ពុជានិងពិភពលោក
Good evening, excellency, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome once again to Cambodia Global Dialogue of Southeast Asia TV. Tonight I have the pleasure and, more than a pleasure, it's more a national pride to have with me, Excellency Kung Po, who just been recently confirmed to be the next Deputy Secretary General ASEAN. And he will take up his position toward the end of the year. So I thought to invite him to the show and we talk a bit about this particular appointment and what does it mean for Cambodia, what does it mean for ASEAN. So I think this is quite a special, talk there this time. Nothing specific, but more about the role of Cambodia, in the regional setting, and more how can we push more younger generation to take a proactive role in international regional affairs. Yeah. So, Pope, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much for having me here today.
Yes. But anyway, for those who have not, you were here before once, right?
Yes. Yeah. To talk about World Economic Forum.
Yes, that was last year. Oh yeah, that was a year ago. So I suggest you say a bit about yourself, your background a bit, so that the audience have a feel of where you're coming from.
Now I am the Undersecretary General.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah.
Undersecretary of State at the Council's Minister. Before I joined the Council's Minister, I was President of the Cambodian Institute for Strategic Study, which is a think tank focusing on foreign policies, national defense, and international trade. So my expertise and my backgrounds are largely about foreign policies and the roles of Cambodia in regional affairs and international affairs, specifically Cambodia in ASEAN. So,
and where did you do your study?
I did my degree in Australia and in the UK. So,
yeah. But you are currently undertaking a PhD program now?
I suspended for some times.
Okay.
Because I need to work on some things to get a little bit more urgent at the moment.
Right.
But
you can always restart.
I was in my third, fourth years when I suspended for a period of time.
Yeah. All right. Well, the position that you're gonna be taking, it's quite a important position as a Deputy Secretary General ASEAN. You'll be covering what? The social cultural pillar?
Social cultural pillar.
Okay. Well, so what happened to the institute now? I mean, the Cambodia Institute of Strategic Study. After you left, who took over?
My colleagues, and now he's having some urgent things to do. So we are thinking about replacement. And it would be one of our experts who have been contributing a lot to the growth of this think tanks.
Yes.
So we will continue our works as usual.
Yes.
And especially focusing on our publications and arranging some events that are good to promote the roles of Cambodia, not just at the national level but also regional level, and if possible, we can collaborate with other think tanks, including the one that you used to be the chairperson.
Yes, CDI.
Yeah, CDI.
But there's also CICP.
Yes, CICPs as well. So if we look around, there are only a few think tanks in town. And sometimes I think it would be more efficient and effective if we can collaborate, work together, because resource constraint if each institution is focusing on just a set of objective of its own institution, that would be not up to the levels that we want in terms of bringing Cambodia to a multi-level and international kind of symposium.
I mean, you're right. I mean, look, for example, CDI, it's been 25 years of the making. So it takes a lot of time, takes a lot of,
right.
I would say, proof that we can deliver before we can get support. And you know very well that as Cambodia economic development moves up, the level of donor interest come down. So more competition for resource, and if we do not pull together, it's very difficult to compete, because other countries, they're better off in the sense that they have more money, they have more resource. So I agree with you that we should, smaller think tanks should combine their resources.
And also in recent years, the role of think tank is growing very rapidly. Even in major country like China, they play more important roles in policy making process, giving advices even to the very top levels of leadership. So if we have good think tanks, the one that can provide pragmatic and long-term strategic recommendation to the governments, I think that would also leverage our position in terms of giving opinions, shaping opinions at the regional levels and global level. I think some countries in ASEAN are doing quite well, as you mentioned, because of the resources that they can mobilize. So I shouldn't say that they set the agenda, but sometimes they do set the agenda.
Track 2 is very important, because you sort of help shape, not set, but you help shape the agenda. And to be fair to them, they have more time.
That's right.
Track 1, people in the executive, they're busy on so many things, on a day-to-day basis, a lot of fire to put out, but think tank, you sit and think, and to me, I think Cambodia now, we start to appreciate more and more the role of think tank. But I think the other thing that is important is that we start to see younger scholar returning. A few years ago, you probably fit in that category, young scholar returning back home, inspired, wanting to contribute. And these are the intellectual assets that Cambodia need to harness now. Because I would say, Google regularly to see, piece of writing, article, publication, and I'm surprised the amount of Cambodian scholars still doing their PhD, still doing their master, some working abroad, but at some point in time they will come back.
That's right.
And that is probably something that this government is very keen. And His Excellency Prasekon, the Foreign Minister, had just launched the Ministry of Foreign Affairs Institute of Diplomacy and International Relations. So these are the sort of institutional credential that will help attract the talent back home.
This is also some things that I take note seriously. For Cambodian students, not just Cambodian students, but other students from developing countries, when they have a chance to do their degrees in developed countries, there are job opportunities there. So some, tempted to stay there and then work and so on. But over the past few years, I can see from my observation and also close relation with students overseas, I can feel, there's a change in thinking among them, that they believe that when they come home, they can have more impact in terms of their contribution to the country's development and political direction and so on. Which is very different. If 5 years ago they would try their best to find a job at a private companies or at the UN system.
It's interesting that the pay of top-notch researcher are very, very competitive now.
That's right.
Vis-a-vis those who are in the private sector. And I would say in Cambodia, people think that we're a least developed country. We still, the level is still low. Not true. Not true. You find, for example, to get good people to run a company, CEO, CFO, you gotta pay, 2, 3, 4,000. CEO can go all the way to $8,000-9,000. And so people were shocked. Said, "Gee, I mean, but you're a least developed country." Yeah, but still, the business is good. Company can afford, and it sort of put the pressure on civil society, particularly think tank, to say, look, if I want to get that PhD guy, I have to at least, pay something similar, So I think it's really a competition for talent.
Oh yeah. It's a tough competition actually. I remember one time when we were trying to recruit an economist.
Yeah.
And I always think that okay, we should have a lot of economists in town, but when you go for a very good economist, there's a tough competition out there.
Yes.
As you mentioned, the private sector is growing very fast.
Yes.
There's so many private companies are looking for talented and highly qualified people, especially people in the economic specialization. So we tried to fight, but it's really tough, and in terms of salary, it's also very high, and sometimes we have to give them a higher salary than the private sector,
incentive, that sort of thing. But say for example, if I look back in CDI in my 7th year as chair there, I would say the turnover is very low. People who researcher who decide to leave to go to private sector, very low, 1 or 2 people. That's it. Because I ask around. I say, why? Because before they attempted to go private sector, they say now the pay is very competitive anyway. And since they're a researcher, their DNA is more research. So that's something that I'm quite happy. We're going to take a short break. When we come back, we'll delve a bit into ASEAN matter. Yes. So, Pope, of course, we talk quite a bit just now about the role of think tank, but I'm pretty sure in your new role, by the way, when you're going to take up
October this year.
Okay, which is another few more months.
4-5 months from now.
You have time to get yourself ready, look for an apartment, everything. But you have to be dealing quite a bit with them. In your portfolio, which is social cultural, it's quite wide, no? What does it cover? In terms of sort of like area, you have education,
environment, public health, natural disasters, humanitarian works, even gender and children, human rights,
drugs,
promoting ASEAN identities, promoting awareness about ASEAN. So there's so many things to do over there. This pillar.
I think of the 3 pillars, which is the political security, economic, and social culture, you probably have the most fun.
That's what I've heard of.
Because the first pillar is quite tense because of most of the time geopolitical issue. You go meeting, it's always some sensational thing that will tough issue. That's why the ASEAN way kicks in. Economic, I think it's very dynamic because we're negotiating on the ASEP, Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. Not an easy matter also, So people are fighting over tariff reduction. Why you're not opening that sector?
Number by number.
Yes, exactly. Tariff duty, sectorial threshold, that sort of thing. But in your pillar, you're talking about promoting.
That's right.
So it is a good word. It's promoting ASEAN unity, that sort of thing.
I think ASEAN has been doing a great job in terms of its political pillars and economic pillars. As you mentioned, there's so many initiatives in the regions and also between the region and outside countries. including the United States, China, European Unions, and many other countries. And people in ASEAN regions also greatly benefits from, many years economic growth and political stabilities and peace. And I think ASEAN is a big organization, and there's so many policies, and some of the policies are also visionaries and ambitious. Without strong support from people within each country, it would be difficult, for ASEAN to realize its dreams as well. So, what is the best way that we can make sure that we can maintain the level of support of people, within each ASEAN member state?
Yes.
And that would be a long-term solution to the sustainabilities, to the strengths of ASEAN as well.
Yeah, let me interject a bit. It's quite interesting that I think a few weeks ago I met a few Singaporean entrepreneurs in Cambodia, and what I find shocking is that the level of understanding what ASEAN is all about is quite low. Quite interesting to have that finding. But it turned out that people, the country, the old ASEAN, right? They're quite settled, but it's sort of a bit take for granted.
Yeah. I think this is I shouldn't characterize this as a dangerous trend, but I think it's not healthy in terms of ASEAN long-term vision. Without, as you've seen in Europe, in the United States, there's a growing populism, nationalism, and so on.
Brexit is a good case.
That's right. And
most of the UK citizens there,
they don't like immigration. They don't like sharing sovereignty with the European Commission. They often say that why we should let the people in Brussels to decide for us, what we should do.
Exactly.
So this is the dangerous trends in terms of regionalization and internationalization, and now it's not really a major issue in ASEAN.
Yeah.
But we shouldn't take it for granted, just like you mentioned. Without enough understanding, the public can be easily manipulated.
I think there's more effort on the latecomer, like Cambodia, Laos, Vietnam, Myanmar, for example. There's more effort to understand, because I think we see more ASEAN as an opportunity.
That's right.
So we try to understand more, but ASEAN, the old ASEAN, and I take the good case of Singapore, who is the chair of ASEAN this year, to have a successful, young CEO who doing very well and not knowing about much about ASEAN is a bit shocking, So perhaps they see that, well, I'm doing good already in my country. There is no need for me to reach out. While for us, we want to reach out to Thailand, to Singapore, to Malaysia, to Indonesia, because we see opportunity, So this is quite a challenge as a whole for ASEAN.
Yeah, I think that there's a need to balance between, the ideas of regional groupings and the vision to become a middle power.
Yes.
There's always these tensions in the region. Some big countries, they would think that why I should constrain myself, within a regional organization like this, if I can, be on the same level with other, at least middle power countries.
Yes, exactly.
Indonesia is a good case.
Exactly.
So I think, but even though there's this kind of thinking, but still there's a strong support from the top leadership of those countries as well. But we cannot take it for granted. If the public is changing the directions of one country foreign policy direction, then it's very difficult for us to stop it. And as you mentioned, Cambodia and some other latecomers are benefiting from ASEAN, but now we are also contributing back
Yeah.
to ASEAN.
Oh yes,
So
definitely.
we're not just pure beneficiary from the
Yes, you know,
ASEAN.
it's at the ASEAN summit a few months ago. Oh no, not a few months. That was just last month.
Last month.
Yeah, last month. In Singapore, I read one report say that the average rate of growth of the CMV, which is the latecomer, are far higher.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the development gap is narrowing down. See, you know, the initiative for ASEAN integration, for example. I mean, and that we have to give credit to Singapore for being a strong supporter, financially, technically. Singapore has been the lead country in terms of supporting this initiative for ASEAN integration. But you see the effect. You see the effect. You know?
Yeah. And I see one of my roles in that.
In your new
Yeah.
hat. Wearing
Because
your new hat.
narrowing development gap is very important. If we let some peoples in ASEAN to feel that they're left behind, or they couldn't share the fruits of growth like other people in ASEAN region, it would be very difficult for each countries to mobilize the support from their people for bold policy initiative. Some policies is gonna take years to
and to me, when we talk about the development divide, many people think that it's between country. I think it's more than that. It's between country, but also within the country. Because, like you say, if some part of the country are not benefiting from the integration, they will not support. So how do you make the wealth redistributions better, access to this growth more inclusive, and that's the word. I want to touch a bit on the UN, which I think in your pillar will have some good interaction, particularly with the new 2030 development agenda, the sustainable development goal. I think your pillar have a lot of component related.
Because the subsectors in the pillars are what also the priorities of the social development plans and so on, and some of the key development indicators that the United Nations is trying to promote. So there's a close cooperation between the two organizations as well. And in terms of this measure, human development indicators, I think ASEAN is also doing a great job as well in terms of health, maternity deaths, and the deaths of child before the first birthday, child mortalities, and environmental issues, and some of these are the key areas that the pillar is focusing on. So I expect that there will be more cooperation on this, so that we can ensure that the region is truly inclusive, truly sustainable.
I think the other thing that is very important in my view is the partnership with our development partner. Because many of these cross-cutting issue, let's say challenge with climate change, for example, environmental degradation, disaster, related to climate change, that sort of thing, are important because it's not just ASEAN. It also our partner have the same thing. And how do we work together? So we're going to take one more break. We'll come back. Let's tackle a bit this cross-cutting issue, more the cooperation, the partnership with them. Well, Paul, I mean, at the last count, I think there's about 80 some, mission accredited to ASEAN, right? So it's a lot of country who are interested to work with ASEAN. Now the Indonesian government is building a twin tower, which should be complete by next year. So you're gonna have a nice place to work there. So the amount of development partner there reflect the interest.
That's right.
And to me, I think many of these interests are common. Common denominator, share concern, share solution, sharing the experience. If I say about the effect of climate change, for example, the AHA Center, these are the sort of things that will be very important. What do you think of this, the partnership with our major development partner, or even sectoral partner?
ASEAN has been playing a very positive roles in providing the platform, for countries in the regions and countries outside the regions, including development partners, to talk about tough issues.
Yes.
And we've been effective in terms of, coordinating among these countries and development partners to ensure that we can come up with some effective and pragmatic solution to those problems. And as you mentioned, there's a common interest, the common concerns in this endeavor, and for example, climate change, but also food security, and many others, stability in the region, and so on. So the problem is no longer contained within one country's border. So it requires cooperation, coordination, and lots of them, to be frank about this. So, but before we can get to that point, I think we also need to understand the issues, and then we have to have confidence in one another enough before we can come up with some tough and bitter solution to this problem, because it's not going to be easy to solve this problem, and it's not going to be solved in a short period of time. It requires a lot of willingness, a lot of political support, a lot of understanding and confidence. So I think through this close engagement, through this close cooperation between ASEAN and other development partners, it would help mobilize enough resources to tackle these problems. It would help build the trust and confidence among participating stakeholders, and also giving them the kind of platform that it can address both national interests and concerns and regional interests and concern. So we understand there's always competition and struggle between national interests and regional interests and global interests. For example, when we talk about climate change, some country would say that come on, you the guys who caused these problems in the first place. It's not my problem.
Yes, exactly.
And now you ask me to stop doing it, and then it's going to impact on my economic growth. Who's going to be responsible for that?
The whole notion, principle of common but differentiated responsibility.
That's right. And but although I think this country are not wrong about this, right? They do have some rationalities.
Yes.
But in the long term, we have to have some things that is more sustainable.
Yes.
It's not, that it does not produce an expensive trade-off between national interests and regional interests. And through this dialogue, I think that there could be a much better solution. Countries that have more resources can contribute more.
Yes, exactly.
Through various financial support and projects in the region.
I think many of these cross-cutting issues are, I would say, cross-boundary. They don't stop at the border.
That's right.
And I think if I take for example, this climate-related disaster, management, for example, a typhoon hits in, it affects life, it affects infrastructure, it affects the economic prospect of the country, and smaller country would not have the resource to step in. And this is where I see the strength, the resilience of ASEAN is that we come together. We come together, and our partner come together. So in time of crisis, there's a strong sense of solidarity, and ASEAN has been doing very well in terms of building that profile. Remember a few years ago the typhoon in Myanmar, a few typhoon in the Philippines. Thank God Cambodia don't have natural disaster. We don't have earthquake, that sort of thing. But even regular flooding of the Mekong, the Mekong flood regularly, right? Yeah. We have problem when there's a big flood, right?
That's right.
Life is affected. You need resource. You need to mobilize the soldier, the police to help, that sort of thing, and that's a normal seasonal flooding.
Yeah.
But imagine the Philippines when you have 30,000-40,000 people devastate, no home, that sort of thing, cholera spreading in. So this is something that I think you will be dealing quite busily there.
On this topic, I think ASEAN need to be very effective in terms of assisting the member state, coordinating among major partners.
Yes.
To help when one of our member state is in crisis, natural disasters and so on. Another thing is due to the resources constraint.
Yeah.
I think it's very important for ASEAN to be more precise. I mean, what's going to happen?
Focus.
And we need to base on scientific finding methodology to do some forecasting.
Yes.
And ASEAN has been setting up a few unit to work on this already. If there's a typhoon, what is the impact of that typhoon, the scope and scales and so on, and how we can mobilize resources, because we, as you also mentioned, we don't have that many resources and facility to respond to natural disasters. Disaster more effectively. So sometimes we also get assistance from ASEAN development partners and key partners.
Yes.
It's Australia, the United States, China, Japan, South Korea, and so on to help. Because going forward, I think the need for scientific methods and accurate data and information about these problems are extremely important, so we can plan ahead.
And there's also another dimension that quite recent in ASEAN. There's a strong move toward have more assertiveness, to have more control of our own destiny, in the sense that we welcome development partner contribution, but as ASEAN we want to also put as much we can from our own resource to show ownership also. So to me, this is a good sign of ASEAN maturity, ASEAN assertiveness, ASEAN prosperity, because you can only chip in when you have money, right?
That's right.
So, and the growth of the region is very helpful. I before we close, I want to touch on something that I'm pretty sure people would want to hear is, and not many people understand fully, because it's like a big elephant. You touch the, one part of the elephant, you think it's something else. It's about the ASEAN way. It's a lot of, myth about the ASEAN way. What do you see the ASEAN way?
I think ASEAN way has been doing a great job, in ensuring that all countries are on the same page when they come to the final decision, and all countries are happy about that decision, and then they will do everything to ensure that that decision will get to the goal that they set out. And this reflects differences among ASEAN countries. Lots of people are criticizing about consensus, about consultation, that it's slow, it's not effective, and so on. But ASEAN has been growing over the past 6 decades.
We made the 50 years.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Well.
And there's a lot of progress in the region, and it's also because of this ASEAN ways as well. And lots of people are talking about ASEAN as the Balkan of Asia. We are so different in terms of levels of economic development, ethnic
religion,
groups, language, religions,
race,
many things.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't be very surprising that some people would say that we are not doing a good job, in the past.
Yes.
But now they can see for themselves what's going on in the region. Countries, given the differences in terms of level of economic development and many other differences, I think it would be more pragmatic, to have this kind of consensus views on what we should do. What is good for all, not just one or two ASEAN countries. And through consultation, country can open their heart.
Yeah, sure.
This policy is not good for my people. I don't like it, and
Yes.
why we shouldn't do that, and so on.
Yes.
So I think this is the way forward.
I think there's no place that require that we have to agree on any
Everything,
particular issue
that's right.
at a particular point in time.
Right.
So to me, the fact that we made it, for 50 years of relationship building, of trust building, confidence building, required, a certain give and take, and unlike Europe, where they're quite continental. Well, look, even the UK do not consider themselves as continental, right? That's why you have the Brexit, for example, right? Europe is one continent, predominantly Christian, in religion, race-wise. Level economic development it's quite, close now. I mean, I was surprised when I was a few months ago in Budapest in Hungary, and I listened to the Prime Minister of Hungary speak about his economic growth. It's amazing, that part of the Eastern Bloc, economically they're doing so well, right? So I was told that the Visegrad group, which is Poland, Slovakia, Czech, and Hungary, combined, that four country, Germany do more business with them than in France. I mean, who would have thought, right? But in our region, it's the level of economic development, as you say, diverse, race. Cambodia is predominantly Buddhist. Indonesia is predominantly Muslim. So Philippines predominantly is a Catholic. So we manage to understand each other, to respect each other, and to me that's probably the ASEAN way. I respect your belief. Our level of economic development is not as strong, but you're helping me, because when I'm doing good, I become a market, for your business, for your product, for your good. It's a lot of give and take, right? So I would close by saying ASEAN way have its own merit.
That's right.
And I think
Totally agree
for you taking on the position for next 3 years, I think, I wish you a lot of luck.
Thank you
Any last
very
words?
much. I do my best with all the the experience and the knowledge that I have to represent Cambodia in these regional organizations, and to ensure that people in the ASEAN region receive the kinds of benefits that they are expecting from the growth of these regions, and I would try to contribute to a more inclusive, sustainable, and
Yes.
dynamic ASEAN regions, and for the benefits of all peoples in the region, not just
Yes, indeed. Indeed,
part of
I
the
mean,
region.
you'll be serving ASEAN. Cambodia happen to be a member of ASEAN, but the welfare, the well-being of ASEAN as a whole is it's something that we should aspire to. So on that note, Pope, all the best and good luck. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, and
Thank you
I'll
very
see
much.
you in Jakarta someday. Well, we're coming to the end of the program. I'm not gonna summarize. I think it was more a discussion among two friends about how we see ASEAN, how we see the role of Cambodia being part of this regional organization. Now we have our own national taking up policy making decision management level decision. This is important for us. And I really encourage our younger professional to start considering ASEAN also as a place to work with ASEAN, apply to work in ASEAN, work with development partner on ASEAN matter. Anything to do with ASEAN can only reinforce, Cambodia as a country, as a full-fledged member of this regional grouping. Because by 2013, it'll be the turn of Cambodia to take on the position of Secretary General of ASEAN. So we need to build the profile of Cambodia, because I want to see Cambodia being an active, a proactive for that matter, player and a positive contributor to this regional grouping, even though we are the last comer in the grouping. All right, once again, thank you, Pope.
Thank you.
All the best. Thanks.